Hey, hello, and welcome to the first official episode of Yappy Ass Bitch! I can't seem to shut the fuck up, so I need somebody to listen, and I'm kinda hoping that could be you. And I'm hoping that we could be a match made in Yappy Heaven. There's few things in life I have real knowledge about, and one of those is my CD collection. Like I've discussed before, I can't find a single person within my personal life that wants to hear a word about it. So I'm turning to you fabulous ass bitches to hopefully find some common ground or just somebody who wants to listen. I want to continue to build on the space that I've already created for myself and to find different little pockets within it, and this being one of them. And I'm kind of just hoping that I'm going to find just one person who doesn't think that my music taste is point blank awful and is willing to bear with me. Like, I'm asking just for that one person to stay and to be there, and even if not, I'm still gonna do this because I want to talk about the things that I love so much. Now, you probably sat there thinking, when is she gonna get to the fucking point? What are we on about today? Well, today we are on about the beginning, because every story has to have a beginning, and this being a new chapter has to have its own beginning. I spent a lot of time figuring out what the beginning could be, because my collection is actually ordered in terms of release date, but starting in 1997 with Rumours didn't feel right to me, because as much as I love Rumours, I don't have a lot of emotional investment within it, or have particularly a lot of knowledge about it, so it didn't feel like the right place to start, and it didn't feel like going backwards was a good idea either, because new things are always coming into my collection, so then it becomes a bit difficult. So I have decided to go random, but I did think the beginning had to be a very, very specific album, and it had to be this one, because for me, this is where it all starts. The purchase of your first ever CD, or my first ever CD, it feels like the beginning to me. I had to, wind it right back and go to a corner of my brain that I hadn't been to in years to access this deep-rooted nostalgia. And what I found there was, me walking into a HMV when they were still good and had 2 for 10 deals, because honestly, if anybody wants to talk about good marketing schemes, 2 for 10 at HMV is probably the top tier of that, because you were always walking out of there with 2. There was no instance that you were like, yeah, I'm just going to get the 1. No! You're probably worse off for it, to be honest. And I walked out with probably the most pivotal album of my life, Right Time, Right Place, by no other than Olly. This album defined my young girlhood and started my music journey. It is what led me to people like Taylor Swift and 5 Seconds of Summer and all of these people that have built my music taste and my emotional understanding of life through their music. And it all starts here, because this is the first time I take interest on my own rather than somebody else buying it for me or something that I wanted. And I listened to this thing to death. It is so scratched up and so dead. I don't think I can even really play it anymore. I've lost the front booklet to it, that there is massive crack through the case. It is dead, because I was 7 or 8 years old, and that now is 13 to 14 years ago, and that's crazy. 2012 feels like a really, really long time ago. When I was doing the research for this, I was like, when did it actually come out? Just Googling things, and I was like, oh my god, 2012. That feels so long ago for me now, but also feels like yesterday, which is really, really scary. I'm getting to the point in my life where I'm turning 21 in a couple of months, and things are starting to feel far away, and that's scary. But it's also really nice to go back and look at 7-year-old me, because she was a wild. She was so emotionally unstable. And I think the perfect example of this is that Olly Murs, when I think about it, is my first real life person crush. Like, actual person, not a fictional character, real person crush. Because to that point, I think I probably could count the amount of crushes I had on a hand. And they were from TV shows, like Riddy and Morris out of Wolfblood. The introduction of Olly Murs really did change all of that for me. You know, this idea of having obsessions not just about people, but about music and feeling. Because this is pre, you know, getting my first Taylor Swift album. This is the first instance of discovering that music can feel, and music can be more than just what's on the radio. It's the gateway for me and my music life, and probably the gateway to my bank account being completely owned by the music industry. Because it's disgusting. All of my friends at the time were probably running around with their One Direction dolls and screaming about how much they loved Justin Bieber, but I was not. I was somewhere in a corner with a Discman wishing I could have been the troublemaker who was talking about. And to be honest, I'm happy that that was my experience, because yes, I know a Discman. We were in that weird little time where Spotify didn't really exist yet. You were still having to buy individual iTunes songs, and I was like a good couple of years out from my first iPod, which was one of the little square touchscreen ones. I had a gold one. It was banging. That was banging. That was a good one. And so yes, I was just there with my Discman trying to keep it as level as possible so it wouldn't skip my favourite part of Hand on Heart. So, you know, it had its moment in time. I think I completely miss the whole One Direction train. Because I think about it sometimes. I don't know whether I wasn't interested because I really didn't care, or because I wasn't there for when it was happening. My mum didn't let us watch ITV. It was BBC. If it had ads, we weren't watching it. It's like, it was BBC, it was DVDs, like that's what we were watching. We weren't watching ITV. So I didn't watch X Factor. I completely missed that. And I think I was away when they were blowing up. So when I came back from seeing my family, I was probably in like some airport, WH Smith, and I was so confused, and I was just thinking, what the fuck does 10 mean? Because obviously the logo is 1D, but I'm fucking 7 or 8 and I don't get it. And I'm just like, well, what the fuck is this? So I think it just completely swooped me by. And honestly, I didn't really care, because Olly Murs was life at that point in time. He was life, with the hats and the suspenders and everything. I did do some actual research, because, you know, I can't just be sat here spouting out nostalgia covered bullshit, because that doesn't really work, because like I said, it was 13-14 years ago, and that's not very reliable, you know, for that long. I found, you know, that it was his third studio album, released on the 23rd of November 2012, and was met with very different reactions from critics compared to public's perception. Critics found it catchy but predictable, with a lack of memorable songs. That hurts the soul. That hurts my heart, because I remember every single one of those songs. I remember every single one of the words to one of those songs. I remember every single scene of most of the music videos. And so that hurts a little bit. There was also many complaints that it felt and sounded too much like his 2010 album, In Case You Didn't Know. Harsh, but if you did tell me Dance With Me Tonight was on the deluxe version of Right Time, Right Place, which I've never heard, I probably would have believed you, because it does sound like it should go on there, even though it was one of his biggest songs before the album came out, and probably launched him quite far, along with Heart Skips a Beat. And I don't know for anybody else, but for me, oh my goodness, that music video with him on the fucking Segway. No. That was so 2010 coded. It was so bad, but I loved it. I ate it up. I wasn't really allowed to watch YouTube, but my mum had like kind of like an exception for music videos, so I was sat there watching music videos, and especially the Oh My Goodness one. And it was just him and his little fucking Segway, and then him and the fucking escalator. Doesn't he like either fall down the escalator or falls over at some point? And honestly, when that happens, I was like, oh my god, that's so embarrassing for you, mate. That's so embarrassing for you. But in spite of all of those criticisms, it had mass commercial success, hitting number 1 in the UK album chart in its first week. It also had his most successful single to date with Troublemaker, sitting at number 1 on the singles charts for 2 weeks. And then he churned out singles like Army of Two, Dear Darling, Right Time, Right Place for Charity, and Hand on My Heart, which also received pretty good fan reception. I think this album definitely was not for the critics. This album was for the fans that he already had and the fans that he was bringing to him. Because yes, he had an album before, maybe 1 or 2, but I think this is the one where he really was stepping away from the X Factor kind of like stage and bringing into his own, and bringing in all of his own fans. But I think this is the only album that he really had a lift. Apart from that, everything else has just been a little bit plateau, and you hear of a couple of songs off his album, but you don't really hear a lot about his albums anymore, unfortunately. Now, I want to talk about the music videos, because especially at that time, in the early 2010s, you were churning out 5, if not more, music videos per album cycle, and now you do like 1 or 2. Especially, I feel like my reference point for this is Taylor Swift. Previous albums like Fearless, especially her debut, Speak Now, Red, and 1989, there is so many more music videos than there is now. For Tortured Poets Department, there is the one, and I'm sure we'll probably end up getting another one, but they were doing this before the albums came out. They were churning out music video after music video after music video, like with the singles attached to them, before the albums came out, to bring in interest. But now I think albums are being marketed very differently. They're being marketed on hype and just trust that you're gonna like it. And maybe with the one music video, and if you're Taylor Swift, you're releasing the music video the same day that you're releasing the album. But she has started to just release the single when the album comes out as like, the album's a surprise, which is chill and it's cool, but it's not what I love. I love a good music video. I love them to come quick and fast and to have several of them. And this album has some of my favourite of all time. For nostalgia purposes, not for actual like artistic purposes, but for nostalgia purposes, these are my favourite music videos. He did one for Army of Two, Troublemaker, Dear Darling, Right Time, Right Place, Hand on Heart, which I didn't know he had done, and that was an experience watching that for the first time. Army of Two wasn't the first single, but it is the album opener, and it was, for me, iconic. With all the little duplicates of him in that IKEA looking ass car park, just like singing his little fucking heart out with himself, and then the serious leaning against fucking ladders like, yeah, this Army of fucking Two, when there's only him in the music video, creases me up. I fucking love it. And it, back then, I was taking that so seriously. I was like, yeah, IKEA fucking ass car park, get me there. I want this. I need this. But now, it brings me enjoyment and it brings me amusement, and I love it. The Troublemaker music video is so far ingrained into my brain, I will not forget a single frame of it. Because I wanted to be her. I don't know why, because I watched it again, and she's annoying, She's fucking annoying, getting everything wrong, being rude, being well annoying, and I'm just like, why did I want this? Why did I need this? Like, who was I? But, like, I wanted to be her, mostly probably because he was just following her around. It basically is compiled of different scenarios of her being a troublemaker, like making mannequins collapse while she's trying to do windows, or spilling coffee, or being annoying in record shops, or just genuinely being annoying. I wouldn't really call that being a troublemaker, I'd just call that being kind of a bitch, kind of irritating. Dear Darling, the music video. Come the fuck on, Bridget. You know, it's such a heartbreaking song. Like, even now still, I'll listen to it sometimes and I'll just go like, yes. And I've got that understand where you're coming from locked and loaded every single fucking time. When I was a kid, this was my fucking shit. I was sat in the back of the car ready for that one bit. This was my moment, you know, like under my breath so nobody could fucking hear me. Just like, I understand where you're coming from. And then I would just like feel it and be like, yeah. Why was I feeling that? I was fucking 8 years old. And that music video as well, I was so like, yeah. Oh my god, yeah. That's so horrible for you. I feel bad for you. Oh, you know? And that flat, I still want to live in that flat with the massive fucking windows everywhere and just the bed in the middle of it. The pining, the sulking, the throwing the piece of paper in slow-mo. It's so dramatic and it's so uncalled for, but it's fucking great and I love it. And him with the fucking feather necklace and the 22 coded hat. Yeah. 2010 at its finest. And the drama was peak. And I want that back. Somebody else do something like that, please, now. Because I will eat it up. I will devour it. Hand on heart, we do need to talk about it because I hadn't seen it. What the fuck was Robbie Williams doing there? What was he doing there? What the fuck was Robbie Williams doing in a Olly Murs music video? I think the whole thing was like, oh my god, Olly Murs looks so much like Robbie Williams. Like, that must have been a thing at the time that I wasn't aware of because I was 8. And they were decided that this was the moment. This was the music video for that. So they could throw around a football whilst he was on a motorbike with this other woman. Like, going like, I understand how you feel. Put your hand on my heart. We need to feel these feelings together and all of that kind of stuff. Like, it felt so out of place for him just to be there in the middle of all of that because it was a very serious, somber music video with, in black and white, everybody like, yeah, feelings. And then just Robbie Williams. And also, I don't know why I hadn't seen that until I was doing the stuff for this. It was crazy. Now, the last music video he did, I don't know if he did this before Hand on Your Heart or after, but probably after, was Right Time, Right Place. It was a charity song. It wasn't a charity song, but he put it out as a charity single and did a music video for it that was a combination of tour clips, but also him walking up a mountain. I could not figure out which one. I bet it was probably Kilimanjaro, to be honest. And I'm not sure which charity it was, but considering he's British, I would assume it was Comic Relief or Children in Need, one of the two. Because most of the time, if there's going to be a charity song for anything, it's going to be for Comic Relief. Like Little Mix did one, and I can't think of any other ones. Oh, and One Direction did their cover of the song is like, I'm gonna get you, that one. You know, with the music video they're with David Cameron. That one. But Olly obviously did something like this as well and chose Right Time, Right Place for it, which probably is actually quite a good song for a charity kind of like thing. I quite like the song for that. There's clips of him performing in HMVs, which is so nostalgic because people don't do that anymore around here. People don't go to music shops and perform anymore, especially like bigger names. Like, people don't really do that anymore unless you're like a local artist. And I feel like that was the peak of the music industry, when people were going into HMVs to sing, because the whole point was buying physical copies. Like, that's how you were making money. Streaming really wasn't where it is now, and like, they were hard on the buy physical copies. And I love that era, because I'm still in that era. Nobody else is, but I am. Now I want to talk about a personal couple faves off the album. I've already spoken about Dear Darling, but Loud and Clear, if you know me, I love a good fucking ballad. I do. I love a ballad. And this is probably where that all started. Or Jar of Hearts by Christina Perri. One of the two. I was in my feels to this one. No one's business. But I was in my room like I'd just gone through a divorce. Just hitting hard. Like, yes, I feel you. I hear you loud and clear. Sorry, I don't make jokes. I won't be making any more jokes. Sorry. But like, I had no business feeling that hard for a song like that. But I still feel it now, actually. I listened to the album again. I do sometimes listen to the album, but I like really listened to the album properly for the first time in a long while for doing this. And just that song, it's harsh. It's hard. It's hard hitting. And that's great. And I love that, because I love a good ballad. Like, at the moment, I'm obsessed with Couldn't Make It Any Harder from Sabrina's Deluxe of Short and Sweet, and On Short and Sweet, Dumb and Poetic is like one of my favourite songs. And I'm loving all of Sam Fender's new album because it just feels. Now, I'm going to talk about Hey Beautiful a little bit more in a minute, but that is the party song on the album, and I was just there for the vibes when I was 8 years old. I did not understand a word of it, but I had no business throwing down to that the way that I did. I fucking loved it. Like, in my room, just like, yeah, let's fucking go, people. You know, it's like, get the apple juice shots out. Party. Great song. Right. What a Buzz is single-handedly responsible for the unrealistic expectation I had of dates. Because for some reason, I thought it's going to feel and sound exactly like that song. They do not. They really do not. Like, Hinge dates suck ass, and that's why I am so happy to be in a relationship, and I have been for 2 years, and I am counting my fucking blessings that I don't have to do another fucking Hinge date, because it doesn't feel like this song says it should. And that hurts my feelings. Every time. I was once brought to a Green King, and I quote the guy. He said, I wanted to, like, you know, do better than a Spoons. That hurts. I brought you to a Green King because I wanted to do better than going to a Spoons. And he had money. He drove a really expensive car. I don't, like, what? But whatever. And then I did get brought to a Spoons after the fact, so. And I said that to my boyfriend, and he said, we go to Spoons all the time and you love it. It's like, yes, because we're in a 2-year-long committed relationship. Spoons is okay then. Spoons is acceptable then. Because I love a good Spoons. I can't eat halloumi fries anymore, but I fucking love a good halloumi fry and a vodka monster. That's all I want in life. Like, when I was in uni, and not that I was in uni for very long, but a Friday night meant I was spending £10 or no more on a double vodka monster and a fucking basket of halloumi fries. I actually have a halloumi fries basket that I stole on my first week of uni, and I have got the most use out of that than I have anything ever in my life. It used to hold my soy sauce, my salt, my pepper and stuff in my cupboard at uni, and now it holds my remote controls beside my bed so I don't lose them down the crack. It's the most versatile thing I have ever had, and it's a fucking halloumi fries basket. But anyways, I think Olly Murs should write an apology to every single person that he made believe that dates would be fun. It's saying all of this, my favourite of the album probably still is What a Buzz, Loud and Clear definitely, and One of These Days, which is the album closer. And I love a good album closer that is just sad as shit. I love a good sad album closer. They're great. Final notes. Right Time, Right Place is just one of those albums I go back to every so often, and I do become 8 years old again. It sits on a shelf in my heart, keeping my younger self company. She truly is the most innocent version of myself, and she was just dancing around without a care in the world, apart from crippling undiagnosed anxiety. Completely missing the point of Hey You Beautiful. I actually remember wanting to sing it for a talent show. I didn't actually do it in the end because of said undiagnosed anxiety, and my mum, who worked at the school at the time, said, "Not a chance in the Lord, Callum Hood above us, are you singing that in front of people?" So I didn't. I was like, I can't think about it now, just like students, parents and teachers. No. Why would I do that? Like, for any song, why would I go anywhere near the idea of that? No thank you. Not happening. I would just die. But this album really created the beginning of my music journey, and I love it still so much, even though if I would have discovered it now, it'd just be a so-so album. But that's what nostalgia is, really. Now, ratings. The album cover, 2 stars. It's very, very 2012, and it makes me think of that 1 Second of Summer magazine cover. If you know, you know. The singles, 3 out of 5. Icons for the time, and in opinion, kind of like classics to me as a person. I still get down to them. Music videos, again, 3 out of 5. Unforgettable moments in pop culture for me. Personal faves, love them. Lyrics, 2 out of 5. It's not Shakespeare or anything, but they still resonate to me, and they might resonate actually differently to me now than they did back then, but they're still very important to me. And overall, a 3 out of 5. It's a so-so album, like I just said, but for the person I was then and the person I am now, it's a very important album to me, and it gets a lovely extra point for nostalgia. I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this, and I really, really hope that you come back for another one. I am going to do a spinner wheel the next time, so catch me on shorts doing that, and yeah. I'm also looking to bring back monthly recaps, but in this format rather than always doing it just as a video on its own. So yeah, catch me on that. I'll see you soon, and I think there's probably video diaries out right now, so go watch them. Go watch them. Watch them, bitch. Watch them. Bye bye.